Class example 2.1.5, simplify each of the following. So this is a bit of a review, but I think it's an important review, particularly in question B when we're looking at that negative sign. So we're in a polynomials unit and we already know what like terms are. We actually mentioned this in chapter 1. Like terms are terms that have the exact same variable and the exact same quantity of that variable. In other words, it means it has the exact same exponent. So when I look at question A, I see an x squared, an x, and I see a constant. I see another x squared, another x, and another constant. So you can imagine the like terms. We've got the x squared because I have the same variable and the same amount of them. There's 2 of them. And when I mean 2, I mean the squared portion of it. I have an x here and another x there. And then I have those 2 that have nothing, no variables with them. And as a reminder, we call those a constant. So I'm going to rewrite this without the set of brackets. So right now I'm going to write this as 3x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now when I add something, I technically don't need the brackets. This is like saying this is a positive 1 in front, and I'm taking a positive 1 and multiplying it into each one of those terms. But we know anything multiplied by 1 is just itself, so I can actually rewrite this without any of the actual brackets itself. So we've already talked about 3x squared and 2x. Those are going to be like terms. I've also got 5x and negative 4x. Those are also like terms. And then I have the negative 3 and the negative 1, and those are like terms. So when I combine them, I do exactly what the operation is in front of those variables. So this would be a positive 3x squared, and I'm adding a 2x squared. That'll get me to 5x squared. I have a positive 5x, and I'm subtracting 4x. Positive 5 minus 4 is positive 1, so I keep my positive sign, and I could have 1x if you want. I'm just going to write an x. Then I have a negative 3 as my constant. I'm subtracting 1, which is going to give me negative 4. And now I'm finished simplifying this expression. These cannot be combined any further than that. Question B, on the other hand, it's quite important to recognize what happens when you have a negative sign in front of a set of brackets. Okay? So very similar to the last question, exactly the same terms, but this time when I rewrite this expression without the brackets, I have to remind myself that that negative actually applies to everything on the inside. Just like in chapter 1, when we had a set of brackets and an exponent outside, it applied to everything. Well, this negative sign applies to everything. It's like I'm taking negative 1 and multiplying it by 2x squared, like I'm taking negative 1 and multiplying it by negative 4x, and like I'm taking negative 1 and multiplying it by another negative 1 here at the end. So all the signs of all the terms on the inside actually change to the opposite of what they are. Okay, so different from that previous question A. So I've got 3x squared and negative 2x squared. I've got positive 5 this time and positive 4. And I have negative 3 and positive 1 this time. Okay, so 3x squared this time, subtract 2x squared by collecting it. I like terms is positive 1x squared. You're more than welcome to put the 1 there in front if you like. Positive 5x plus 4x is positive 9x. And negative 3 plus 1 is actually negative 2 as our constant. So even though we had the exact same numbers all the way through, the only difference was a positive sign to a negative sign. We have very different answers. So be cautious when there is a negative sign in front of a set of brackets.